Denny Hamlin has a new contract. Let's discuss how his decision impacts Joe Gibbs Racing, 23XI Racing, and the rest of NASCAR free agency. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Breaking news this evening, but before we can react to it, this episode is sponsored by Fram. Fram recently launched their most durable oil filter yet at Walmart, Fram Synthetic Endurance. It provides maximum protection and performance for up to 25,000 miles when paired with the appropriate synthetic or high mileage oil. It's engineered with a heavy-duty shell and metal screenback construction to provide maximum durability. Its heavy-duty base plate is engineered to handle the demands of today's higher flow engines. Fram Synthetic Endurance is exclusively available at Walmart. Thank you to Fram for sponsoring the show. Well, it's official. Denny Hamlin is staying with Joe Gibbs Racing. Tonight, the two sides announced a new multi-year contract that will keep Denny Hamlin behind the wheel of the number 11 Toyota Camry for years to come. Exact terms were not disclosed. I've seen no mention of sponsorship. Will FedEx return? And if so, in what capacity? But Denny Hamlin is back. He's sticking with Toyota and he's sticking with Joe Gibbs Racing. Denny Hamlin said in a statement, quote, "Joe Gibbs Racing has been my home for almost 20 years now. My relationship with Joe, my team, and everyone at JGR means a lot to me. We have accomplished so much together over the years. I'm excited to finally announce this so we can put all our focus on chasing the championship." Huge news. Joe Gibbs was the guest on Denny Hamlin's podcast, Actions Detrimental, earlier today, where they signed the contract officially. Maybe it was the real contract. I don't know. Denny Hamlin talked about what it means to be staying with Joe Gibbs Racing.
I see a contract here in front of me. I'm going to sign that contract that will keep me in that 11 Camry for years to come. So thank you for everything that you do for me. Obviously, it was belief that you had in myself and JD, and the belief that he had in myself to keep this going. So certainly the relationship between us has been really strong.
He and Coach Joe Gibbs had a fun little banter towards the end.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming on, and let's keep going.
You got it, man. Let's roll.
I'll put the link to the full episode of Actions Detrimental down in the description below if you want to give it a listen. We'll talk about how this decision impacts 23XI and impacts the rest of NASCAR free agency in a moment. But first and foremost, how this affects Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs Racing needed this. Their lineup is set for next season. Denny Hamlin returns, Martin Truex Jr. returns, Christopher Bell returns, and of course Ty Gibbs. Signing Truex a few weeks ago, and Denny Hamlin now brings some much needed stability to Joe Gibbs Racing. Behind the scenes, of course, we know about some of the tragedy, unfortunately, the past few years that's impacted the Joe Gibbs family. But from solely a business perspective, this year they brought in a new ownership group. Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment earlier this spring bought an ownership stake, a minority stake of the team. That's new. That's a little different for Joe Gibbs Racing. Obviously, at the end of last season, they lost Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch, who'd been with the team since 2008, who'd won 2 championships with them. He's gone. That was a huge distraction all of last year, and I think in many ways that was demoralizing for both JGR and Toyota Racing Development. You're bringing back the same driver lineup from this year, next year. Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr., savvy veterans. Truex is a champion. Denny Hamlin, he's been to 4 championship fours. He's won 50 Cup races, 3 Daytona 500s. You have 2 great veteran leaders. Truex is locked up at least for next season. Hamlin, it's a multi-year deal. That's even more stability. Then you've got 2 very promising younger drivers. Christopher Bell was in the championship for last season. Been a little up and down this year, but I am a believer in Christopher Bell. He is a future NASCAR Cup Series champion, no doubt in my mind. And then there's Ty Gibbs. And I know we can joke about he's the boss's grandson. Wahoo. The kid can drive. He has raw talent. He's only 20 years old, and he just missed the playoffs. He is going to get better. Dare I say, he will also be a Cup Series champion one day. Mark my words. Brace yourselves. JGR has a very solid lineup for the short term with those two veterans anchoring it, but their long-term future of Bell and Gibbs is pretty strong as well. So Joe Gibbs Racing in a good place now that they've locked down Denny Hamlin. Thank goodness. You couldn't lose Kyle Busch and Denny Hamlin in back-to-back years. You want to talk about demoralizing. Whew. I don't know how serious those talks between Denny Hamlin, 2311, and Ford truly were. Remember a couple weeks ago, reports that Hamlin had met with Ford, or at least Hamlin's representatives had met with Ford at Michigan, just exploring their options. I mean, that's the smart business thing to do. I've said all along that the most likely outcome is that Hamlin would re-sign with JGR. That is what happened, but I'd be curious to know how far those talks with Ford truly went. Were there ever any serious discussions? Maybe someday Denny Hamlin will share some of that with us on Actions Detrimental. Big win, though, for Joe Gibbs Racing. I mentioned 2311. Let's talk bigger picture. Denny Hamlin confirmed on his podcast today, again, link is down in the description below, that 2311 will stay with Toyota.
What this means is that 2311 will continue its relationship with Toyota into the future. Nothing really changes. We're going to continue on the path that we've been on. It was my goal to make that a championship organization within 5 years. We're going to continue on that trajectory.
2311 will continue their technical alliance with Joe Gibbs Racing, though Hamlin said in this episode that their alliance with JGR is more of a partnership. Like previous teams, when they've had alliances with JGR, they're really just paying a fee, getting their supplies, equipment, data. He said in this episode that with 2311 and JGR, sometimes 2311 actually teaches JGR a thing or two, which I don't know how true that is, but Hamlin sounds very happy with how the two teams are collaborating. So they've extended their deal. Looking at the even bigger picture for Toyota, this means that next season they will have 8 full-time NASCAR Cup Series entries. Toyota has been looking to add more quality cars, quality teams, quality drivers to their portfolio, and next year they've got it. Legacy Motor Club is here to stay. They have a long-term vision. 47, soon to be 48-year-old Jimmy Johnson is at the helm. 2311 is owned by Michael Jordan and Denny Hamlin. They know sports, they know business, they know NASCAR. Young ownership group over there. Joe Gibbs Racing. Joe Gibbs is 82 years old, sure, but again, I mentioned Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment. They're involved. And I can't remember where we read it, but we talked about it on the show. There was a report or someone mentioned that Heather Gibbs, who I believe is Ty Gibbs' mother, has gotten more involved with the team in recent months. Dave Alpern is there. I think JGR has a succession plan. So Toyota now has 3, I believe, quality organizations with young, exciting leaders and plenty of young, exciting drivers, especially now that John Hunter Nemechek is freed up to potentially drive the number 42 next season, if that's what he and Toyota wants. This is big for Toyota to not only hold on to savvy veteran Denny Hamlin, but also hold on to owner Denny Hamlin and hang on to 2311 Racing. Toyota may be challenged at times next season with 3 key partner teams, 8 different cars, 8 different drivers. They might be spread a little thin from time to time, but I think they'll manage. They've been looking for numbers, quality numbers for a long time, and now they finally have them. Looking ahead into the immediate future, Denny Hamlin has a huge weight lifted off his shoulders. He said on his podcast today that the last few weeks he spent a ton of time negotiating contracts, trying to reach agreements. Now that everything is signed, he'll have much more time freed up to focus solely on driving. He's in the NASCAR playoffs, still seeking that first NASCAR Cup Series championship. I picked him to go to the championship 4. He was the fastest car at Darlington the other night until a loose wheel or something knocked him out of contention. He's got a great chance this season to win that title, and now he can put forth all of his focus, all of his energy into pursuing that. So I think Denny Hamlin now only became an even greater championship favorite for 2023. I think coming into this year, we all kind of assumed it was a given that Joe Gibbs Racing would retain Denny Hamlin, that Toyota would retain 2311 Racing. His situation was always a little different than Kyle Busch's situation last year, but as the months went on, and especially after Truex announced his new contract a few weeks ago, Hamlin was put under the microscope. And, things he'd said to the media the past few weeks about how, hey, we need to get going. We need to, start making real progress here. It's getting too late. It's getting later than I would like, comments Hamlin made, reports of meetings with Ford. The past few weeks, suddenly there was at least a hint of skepticism. Suddenly it wasn't a given anymore. But ultimately, Toyota does re-sign Hamlin. JGR re-signs Hamlin. They're matched up. They're paired up for at least the next several years. Give me your initial reaction down in the comments below. Did you ever doubt that Hamlin would potentially leave JGR? Or did you always know that Denny Hamlin, Joe Gibbs, they go way back. They were always going to get a deal done. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let me know what you think about their future. Denny Hamlin is 42 years old. So Truex, I think, is 42 as well. Two of the oldest full-time drivers in the Cup Series, especially now that Harvick's about to retire. Will Joe Gibbs Racing continue to be top dogs over the next couple of seasons? How do you expect Bell, Gibbs to develop? What does this mean for 2311? Reddick, Bubba Wallace, they're sticking with Toyota. What does this mean for all of these different drivers? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, but that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new and you love NASCAR. We react to races, discuss rumors, react to breaking news every single day here on the show. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode. And thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. I will see you all again tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your Labor Day weekend, folks.